Beyond Caring, this series of photographs was, for me, for this exhibition, the point of departure. I showed this series first in Frankfurter Kunstverein in 2001. Exhibition. It was an exhibition entitled Neue Welt, New World. Yeah. What changed between 2001 and 2017? I think quite a lot. But looking back, when you produced Beyond Caring in 1984, 1985.
Yeah, 33 years ago.
33 years ago. And what was this, an assignment? Or were you working for a newspaper?
An artistic, the earliest seed was a little artistic assignment to freedom to explore the state of Britain in 1984. It was a cheap idea of George Orwell's Prophecies, the famous 1984 book that a gallery had, and they commissioned a few artists to work. So that was the beginning of the idea, but then I worked on it for 2 years after that, you know.
In the 1980s, whole Europe changed through Thatcher.
Yes, Margaret Thatcher.
So
yes.
could you?
So we've gone from Merkel to Thatcher.
Could you revisit this time for us? What happened? Were you still studying in 1984? Or?
No, I'd finished studying quite a while before, like 5 years before. But yeah, I was unemployed myself. It was the time of mid-Margaret Thatcher, I believe then it would be, mid-term for her, mid of the 10 years that she was the Prime Minister. And she was trying to break the unions, the strength of the British unions, particularly the coal unions and the industrial unions. And so she was using unemployment, or the threat of unemployment, as a form of economic violence against people in that position, people that could be forced out of their jobs to cooperate with her plans. And it was very shameful in a way, and unfortunately it succeeded. She managed to succeed in what she did, and then sell off all the assets of Britain, sell the railways, sell the post office, you know, sell the bus companies. Everything was sold, you know, in sort of adulation of Ronald Reagan and what he was doing. And, you know, people criticized this for the breakup of British society and the damage it was done, to which her reply was the famous line, "There is no such thing as society," was her response, which is very tragic, really, that someone who is in charge of a whole country would view society as a invention by liberal elites.
Could this, okay, when did she say that, in 1984 or before?
I think just before then, yeah.
I think so. Could a politician say that again today? No.
They would probably try, yeah. I mean, there's certain politicians you can think of would say that, but yeah. I mean, to be more open about it, she said there is families, there are schools, there are friendships, but society, she said, is like an invention, a sort of nebulous non-thing. So she supported the family, as many right-wing politicians do, but not the general bond of society, the duty we all have to each other.
You're British, but you moved to New York. Mm-hmm. Why did you move away from London?
Many personal reasons, but to be positive, to continue to grow as an artist. The time that I left...
okay, it's fine.
Okay. The time at the time I left Britain, there was no room to grow anymore in the medium I did, the photographic art, which you have a lot of in this admirable exhibition. It was not really that respected in the UK at that time. The Tate Gallery still refused to show photography. They would never show a photographer.
In 1984, photography was not...
No, in 2002, when 2002,
I left,
they would not show photography. They still, no, photography is not art, we're not showing it. That changed. That changed with Vincente Tidoli and Chris Durkon was around. That has now changed. But the point where I left, I thought, well, I can't be here with a place that thinks photography is not an art form and should not be exhibited. So I left the country, you know.
In 2000, it's unbelievable.
2002, yeah.
2002,
never shown.
yeah.
The first show was Cruel and Tender, which was 2004.
Yeah, no, I remember the show, and
that
I have
was it,
seen the
yeah.
show, but it's I haven't realized this.
Yeah, the first show, that was it. So they changed, but it's good, you know. So
you know, we only have that. Yeah, we have 3 minutes left, and as you are you're not representing a nation, but let's talk about Brexit.
Yeah.
What is the Brexit a result of the famous Margaret Thatcher quote? You know, the UK has never been happy being part of the European Union. This is what I learned from all my British friends, in a way. But what could we have done? What could we have done, or better from the arts? That people, are we in an elitist bubble? So was that expected? What happens with the Brexit or not?
I don't think we're just in a liberal arts elitist bubble, because you talk to many young people in the United Kingdom and they are very unhappy, and they are not in the arts. They are young doctors, young scientists, you know, young writers, young workers in but I'm not going to pretend to have an answer to the tragedy that has happened there, you know. But you're right. Britain always thought it was an island separate, you know, from the continent of Europe, and resented interference. And let's face it, just like in America, people were lied to vote a certain way that the right-wing owners of newspapers wanted them to vote. Rupert Murdoch, principally, who owns a lot of the right-wing press in England and a lot of the right-wing press and Fox News in the United States. He's a very right-wing conservative man who's been allowed to become too powerful. No one reined him in. The governments were too scared of him to rein him in and say, you own enough, you have too much power for one person, like they did with the press barons in the early in the 1920s, you know, in America, where they broke up the monopolies. So the people were lied to, just like they were in America to vote for Trump. They were lied to, they were deceived, and they were brainwashed, and it's very sad. People will vote to, you know, against their own self. So I have sympathy, because I believe people were truly lied to and deceived in that way, but I don't know how we fix it, really, you know.
Which role do we play in the whole mix of politics? What can we do as artists, as directors of institutions, as gallerists, as writers? Is there any possibility to engage?
Well, I think art is not. I think it's important to recognize that art is not a luxury. You know, it is, in times like this, art is essential. It is the stuff that makes life worth living. You know, where would we be without Mozart or Picasso or excellent fashion designers or you know, or the great films of Tarkovsky or Ingmar Bergman, you know? Art is essential to life, and it makes life positive and uplifting and informative, and as artists we can only aspire to contribute to that, as curators too, to help people recognize that and give value to people's lives, you know. And artists, you see them all struggling with that, sometimes succeeding, sometimes failing, but you see people struggling to speak, to give shape and form to being alive, to the struggle of life, you know, today. Social issues, emotional issues, personal issues, the beauty of the world, the tragedy of the world. It's really, it's an essential thing. It's not a luxury. Those against art would like to tell you it's a luxury, but it's not, you know.
Paul, thank you very much.